We are so glad that you have enjoyed our weekly podcast of SideQuest. We hope that you continue to listen and enjoy the exciting world of the Land of Sojourn. We firmly believe that music enhances the listening experience. Unfortunately, we are unable to include music directly on YouTube. Therefore, we recommend that you listen to Smells Like Teen Spirit by Malia J on your favorite streaming service before each episode. Quote for the episode: Sun Tzu's The Art of War places a strong emphasis on the role of strategy in securing victory. One of the most famous quotes that encapsulate this idea is, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." This highlights the importance of using strategic acumen to achieve objectives without resorting to direct conflict. By leveraging intelligence, diplomacy, and psychological tactics, a leader can neutralize threats and accomplish goals with minimal confrontation, preserving resources and maintaining stability. Another insightful quote from Sun Tzu is, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." This suggests that strategic leaders must be adept at identifying and exploiting opportunities, even in seemingly adverse situations. By maintaining a keen awareness of the environment and the dynamics at play, commanders can turn potential disadvantages into advantages. This requires a flexible mindset and the ability to adapt strategies swiftly in response to changing circumstances, ensuring that opportunities are seized at the right moment. Sun Tzu also emphasizes the importance of preparation and knowledge with the quote, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." This statement underscores the necessity of self-awareness and intelligence gathering in strategic planning. By thoroughly understanding one's own capabilities and the enemy's tendencies, a leader can devise plans that maximize strengths and exploit the opponent's weaknesses. This comprehensive understanding forms the foundation of effective strategy, allowing for informed decision-making and increasing the likelihood of victory. It's very interesting how schools no longer teach players how to be successful, so we thought, why can't we? From CNN interview in 2009 with Aaron Portman, principal developer behind the Land of Sojourn game. Episode 8. I'm a healer, not a fighter.
Kyle awoke in the game, finding himself in the cozy virtual house he shared with his friends. The room was dimly lit by the soft glow his fireplace, casting flickering shadows on the walls. Despite the inviting warmth of the virtual bed, Kyle found himself tossing and turning, unable to drift back into sleep. It was an unusual sensation, this restlessness, particularly in a world designed for comfort and relaxation. He marveled at how utterly awake he felt, his mind sharp and alert, as if he had been roused by a full night's rest. It was a strange internal battle, caught between the desire to linger in the comfort of his virtual surroundings and the undeniable energy coursing through him. Disbelief washed over him as he realized that the mere 5 hours he had spent in the game had left him more rejuvenated than he could have imagined. The vividness of his thoughts and the clarity of his senses were a testament to the immersive power of the virtual reality, and Kyle couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the experience. Unable to lie still any longer, Kyle decided to explore the spacious home he shared with his friends in the game. The house had a charming cabin vibe, with wooden beams and rustic decor that exuded warmth and coziness. As he wandered through the open living area, he admired the intricate details of the virtual world, from the soft rugs underfoot to the gentle creaking of the wooden floorboards. The ambiance was both calming and invigorating, a perfect blend of nature and comfort. Kyle's footsteps eventually led him to one of his favorite spots in the house, the enchanting and brewing room. This room was a haven of creativity and magic, filled with shelves lined with mysterious ingredients and ancient tomes. The air was fragrant with the scent of herbs and potions, and a soft, ethereal light danced across the walls, casting an otherworldly glow. Here he felt a sense of wonder and possibility, a place where the boundaries of reality blurred and imagination reigned supreme. As he stood amidst the bubbling cauldrons and shimmering crystals, Kyle couldn't help but feel grateful for the virtual world that offered him such a unique and revitalizing escape. Feeling invigorated, Kyle decided to step outside and take in the sights of the virtual city that lay beyond the cozy confines of his cabin-like home. He changed into his outside robes, which he really enjoyed. They were a mixture of red, green, with a white and yellow outlay. He always got looks of admiration when we walked around the city. The city was already bustling with life, its streets lined with charming shops and vibrant markets. The morning sun cast a golden hue over the buildings, creating a picturesque scene that seemed to pulse with energy. Kyle, never really a morning person in the real world, found himself marveling at how awake and alive he felt. It was a rare sensation for him to be up this early, let alone with such enthusiasm and clarity. As he strolled through the lively streets, he took in the sights and sounds with a sense of wonder. The aroma of freshly baked bread wafted from a nearby bakery, and the cheerful chatter of NPCs and other players filled the air. Kyle couldn't help but smile at the realization of how good he felt, both physically and mentally. The usual grogginess and reluctance he associated with mornings were nowhere to be found. Instead, he was filled with a vibrant energy that made him eager to explore and engage with the world around him. It was a feeling he couldn't quite believe, but one he was more than happy to embrace. Eager to share his newfound energy and excitement, Kyle pulled up the in-game messaging system and sent a quick message to his friend Andrew. "Hey, Andrew, you won't believe how awesome I slept last night," he typed, his fingers flying over the virtual keyboard. "I feel more awake than I have in ages. I'm going to hang out in the game for a bit, and then, can you pick me up for school? Can't wait to tell you all about it." As he hit send, Kyle felt a surge of anticipation. He knew Andrew would be just as intrigued by the experience, and he looked forward to discussing the wonders of the game in person. The prospect of sharing his enthusiasm with a friend only added to the buoyant mood that had taken hold of him, making the virtual world feel even more vibrant and inviting. Kyle navigated the bustling marketplace, the vibrant sounds and colors enveloping him in a lively tapestry of virtual life. Vendors hawked their wares, players bartered for rare items, and the air buzzed with the chatter of excited voices. It was a typical day in the game, yet something felt different. A palpable energy coursed through the crowd, drawing Kyle's attention to snippets of conversation that floated around him. Kyle was hearing a lot of news from the players in the open. Apparently, huge events happened yesterday. The gossip was explosive as he listened to the news. He knew that this would also be all over SoTube. He pulled his in-game phone attachment, he scrolled to the news feed, shocked at what he missed in only one day. "Did you hear about Null the Destroyer?" a player nearby exclaimed, their voice tinged with a mix of awe and sorrow. "He sacrificed himself to defeat the stranger. It was a blaze of glory." Kyle paused, his interest piqued. Null was a name that resonated deeply within the gaming community, a hero whose exploits were the stuff of legend. The news of his demise hit hard, and Kyle felt a pang of loss, as if a personal friend had been taken. As Kyle absorbed the news, his thoughts drifted to a particular mission where Null had accompanied him and a large group of players. It was during a monthly Community Day mission set in the treacherous swamp of Morgrath, where the goal was to end the reign of Ket, a monstrous creature that was devouring the world and spawning evil minions. The swamp was a murky, ominous place, filled with dangers lurking in every shadow. The mission was fraught with peril, and the stakes were high as players banded together to face the formidable threat. During the mission, the group encountered a giant poisonous centipede, a creature of terrifying size and venomous bite that incapacitated many players. Without hesitation, Null the Destroyer leapt into the fray, his massive muscles rippling with power as he charged toward the beast. His presence was commanding, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. With the hammer of heartache in hand, Null swung with unparalleled strength and precision, each blow landing with thunderous impact. His bravery and skill turned the tide of battle, inspiring those around him to rally and fight with renewed vigor. Null's actions were nothing short of legendary. He moved with the grace of a seasoned warrior, slaying creatures left and right, carving a path through the swamp's treacherous terrain. His fearlessness was infectious, and players who had been paralyzed by fear found themselves emboldened by his example. As the centipede fell to the ground, defeated, a cheer erupted from the group, their spirits lifted by Null's heroism. It was a moment of triumph, a testament to the power of courage and teamwork. Later, as Kyle watched videos of the mission on SoTube, he marveled at the epic battle and the camaraderie it had fostered. The footage captured every moment of Null's fearless charge and the group's eventual victory over Ket and its minions. It was a reminder of the profound impact one player could have on the community, leaving a legacy of bravery and selflessness that would be remembered for years to come. Just as Kyle was lost in thought, a notification pinged on his screen, drawing his attention back to the present. It was a message from the game developers addressing a question that had lingered in the minds of many players. Was Null the Destroyer an NPC or a player? The answer, finally revealed, confirmed that Null had indeed been a NPC of legendary status, a dedicated and passionate NPC who had poured countless hours into the game, leaving an indelible mark on its world and its virtual community. This revelation filled Kyle with a sense of wonder and respect, knowing that Null's spirit would live on in the hearts of all who had been touched by his story. "He was incredible," another player chimed in. "His spirit still echoes through the battlefield. Players everywhere are paying tribute to him." Kyle nodded, a sense of pride swelling within him. The marketplace was abuzz with stories of Null's legendary feats, a reminder of the impact one player could have on countless others. As he continued to weave through the crowd, Kyle overheard a conversation that shifted the tone from mourning to intrigue. "Have you heard about the Hammer of Sojourn?" a vendor whispered conspiratorially to a group of players. "It's a mythic-level weapon that can one-shot kill any player. Over 300 have fallen to it already." Kyle leaned in closer, intrigued. The Hammer of Sojourn had been the talk of every forum and chat room he visited. It was a game-changer, sparking debates about balance and fairness. "It's causing quite a stir," the vendor continued. "Some say it's an exciting challenge, while others argue it disrupts the game's balance. The developers haven't said a word about it yet." Kyle's mind raced with possibilities and strategies. The hammer was a formidable addition, and he couldn't help but wonder how it would affect his own gameplay. This was the second mythic-level weapon that appeared, and his close friend Andrew wielded the first one. In the midst of this chaos, a new conversation caught his attention. "Did you hear about Tron and the clan Lost Souls?" a player asked excitedly. "They found the Cathedral of Chaos and faced the Emperor Knight." Kyle felt a surge of admiration for Tron and the Lost Souls. The Emperor Knight sounds like an epic-level villain. His presence in the Cathedral of Chaos must have been a dark cloud over the game, threatening to annihilate all who dared oppose him. Kyle looked at the map where the players talked, but all he found in his view was unexplored terrain. "Tron and the Lost Souls saved the day," another player added, their voice filled with awe. "They revived all the fallen players and led them to victory against the Emperor Knight. But it was a close call. Due to poor planning from the clans and not creating portals farther away, they almost lost everything." Kyle listened intently as the player continued. "If it hadn't been for Tron's leadership and the strategic brilliance of the Lost Souls guiding everyone through the chaos, we would have been wiped out." Later, Kyle was amazed as he went on to SoTube to watch videos of the fight and the epic win. The footage was exhilarating, capturing every moment of the intense battle and the triumphant victory. As he watched, Kyle couldn't help but think about the implications of this victory. No one had ever mentioned a second level to the game, and the discovery of the Cathedral of Chaos opened up new possibilities and challenges for all players. It was a revelation that hinted at deeper layers and secrets within the game, sparking Kyle's curiosity and excitement for what lay ahead. This new level meant that the game was evolving in ways no one had anticipated, offering fresh opportunities and potential threats. Kyle pondered what this meant for the community and how players would adapt to these changes. The thought of unexplored territories and untapped adventures filled him with anticipation. It was a reminder of the endless possibilities within the virtual world. "Wow," said Kyle out loud, his voice echoing in the quiet room. He sat back in his chair, processing all the news that had landed at his feet today. The revelation of new levels in the game was thrilling, especially since the developers had managed to keep it under wraps without a single leak. The new level port, ominously named the Cathedral of Chaos, had indeed brought chaos to the game world, shaking up the community and sparking a flurry of excitement and speculation among players. The discovery of another registered weapon, a potential major player killer, added another layer of intrigue. If two such weapons existed, it stood to reason that more were hidden within the game, waiting to be uncovered. The thought of these powerful artifacts and the impact they could have on gameplay was both exhilarating and daunting. Kyle's mind raced with possibilities, imagining the adventures and challenges that lay ahead in the tundra of the First Men. Does that mean the level is cold and ice like the Alaskan tundra? Kyle thought to himself. Despite the whirlwind of thoughts, Kyle glanced at the clock and realized he still had responsibilities in the real world. He had to be at school by 8:30 a.m., but it was only 5:12 a.m. With time to spare, he decided to dive back into the game and tackle a couple of missions he had been holding onto for months. These missions had been on his to-do list for a while, and now seemed like the perfect opportunity to complete them. The first mission involved helping Acadian the baker make bread. It was a simple task, but one that required precision and timing. Kyle had already gathered the ingredients and delivered them to Acadian, but the bread needed to be made at precisely 5:30 a.m. to ensure its quality. The mission was a test of patience and attention to detail, and Kyle relished the opportunity to hone his skills in this peaceful yet rewarding task. As Kyle entered Acadian the baker's medieval bakery, he was immediately enveloped by the warmth and comforting aroma of freshly baked bread. The bakery was a quaint, rustic establishment, with wooden beams overhead and stone walls lined with shelves displaying an array of golden brown loaves. The centerpiece was a large brick oven, its flames flickering gently as they worked their magic on the dough inside. Acadian was known far and wide for his bread, which had a unique flavor and texture that kept customers coming back for more. Acadian greeted Kyle with a hearty smile, his hands dusted with flour. "Ah, lit, just in time. The secret to great bread is in the ingredients and the care you put into it," Acadian explained, gesturing to a table laden with fresh ingredients. "We use the finest wheat from the fields of Eldergrove, honey from the bees of Meadowvale, and a special blend of herbs that give our bread its distinctive taste." Kyle listened intently as Acadian walked him through the bread-making process. They mixed the ingredients with precision, kneading the dough until it was smooth and elastic. Acadian emphasized the importance of letting the dough rise, allowing the yeast to work its magic. As they worked, Acadian shared stories of his family and the long tradition of baking that had been passed down through generations. Once the bread was in the oven, Acadian turned to Kyle with a new mission. "I have a favor to ask if you're willing," he said. "My cousin, Bartholomew, lives in the City of Hope. He's starting his own bakery and could use some of our special ingredients. Would you be willing to deliver this package to him?" Acadian handed Kyle a neatly wrapped parcel, along with a pouch containing 100 gold coins as a reward for his help. The package disappeared into his inventory, and a new mission appeared on his light band. It read, "Introductions to a Fine Mead." Completing the bread-making mission, Kyle received 150 experience points, and Acadian offered him a special deal for his future visits. "From now on, when you buy bread from me, it'll cost you only 5 copper coins," Acadian said with a wink. "And you'll receive a baker's dozen buff. Your health will regulate twice as fast when you eat my bread." Kyle was hit with a sudden achievement, and the name Baker's Dozen appeared with the stats. Each time he ate bread made by Arcadian, he would obtain a 5-minute boost where his health rejuvenated faster by double. What an unexpected win, he thought to himself, and he obtained a new mission taking him to a new city. He had always wanted to go, he thought to himself. Suddenly, another mission appeared. "Go to the headmaster of the Arcanum Academy of Wizards about your trip to the City of Hope." Wow, bonus quests, he thought to himself. With the mission complete and a new task in hand, Kyle felt a sense of accomplishment and gratitude. The experience had been both educational and rewarding, and he looked forward to his journey to the City of Hope to meet Bartholomew. As he left the bakery, the sun was rising higher in the sky, casting a golden light over the village. Kyle felt invigorated, ready to tackle the next challenge, and eager to see what new adventures awaited him in the game. Once the bread was baked and the mission completed, Kyle planned to move on to a more challenging endeavor. His second mission was to hunt 25 dire wolves and turn in their pelts to the Gatekeeper Sentry Commander. This quest promised action and adventure, with the dire wolves posing a formidable challenge. Kyle knew he would need to be strategic and resourceful to succeed, but the prospect of the hunt filled him with anticipation. The mission required him to not be in a party and to complete it without help. As the first light of dawn crept over the horizon, Kyle, a human mage of considerable skill, prepared for his next mission. He stood at the edge of the forest, the cool morning air tingling with anticipation. Clad in his robe of enchantment, which shimmered with an ethereal glow, he felt the familiar surge of power as his wisdom increased and his mana reserves swelled by 110%. In his hand, he gripped the Staff of Lightning, its surface crackling with energy, a testament to his affinity for magic, especially his love of fire and air magic. The mission was straightforward but challenging: hunt 25 dire wolves and return their pelts to the guardmaster before 7 a.m. The dire wolves were notorious for their ferocity, their eyes glowing with a primal hunger as they prowled the forest in packs. Kyle knew he would need to be both strategic and swift to complete the task within the allotted time. As he ventured deeper into the woods, the sounds of nature surrounded him, the rustling of leaves, the distant call of birds, and the soft crunch of twigs underfoot. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, a low growl reverberating through the trees. Kyle's senses sharpened, and he spotted the first pack of dire wolves emerging from the shadows, their eyes fixed on him with predatory intent. With a flick of his wrist, Kyle summoned a swirling vortex of air, sending it hurtling toward the wolves. The gust knocked several of them off balance, buying him precious seconds to prepare his next spell. Channeling his affinity for fire, he conjured a blazing inferno, the flames roaring to life as they engulfed the wolves, their howls echoing through the forest. The 3 he saw immediately were destroyed, but he needed 22 more. He walked over and placed the 3 floating pelts into his inventory. He saw the counter for his mission reduced by 3. Despite the onslaught, the dire wolves were relentless. They regrouped quickly, their snapping jaws and razor-sharp claws ablur as they lunged at him. Kyle barely had time to react, his heart pounding in his chest as he sidestepped their attacks, the wolves' teeth narrowly missing his flesh. His minor armor absorbed some of the impact, but he knew he couldn't rely on it alone. Drawing on the full power of his staff of lightning, Kyle unleashed a torrent of electrical energy, the air crackling with intensity as bolts of lightning arced toward the wolves. The sheer force of the magic stunned the creatures, their bodies convulsing as the electricity coursed through them. One by one they fell, their snarls fading into silence as Kyle kept hitting them with lightning. Pulling out a sword from his inventory, he moved the staff to his left hand and his sword to the right. "It's go time," he said out loud. He ran into the scene screaming, "Not today," as he hit a gang of wolves with lightning from his staff, and he would slash as the fallen wolves with his sword. He moved with fluid strikes, stunning the wolves with the staff and killing with his sword. Running to the stunned wolves, he dug his sword into the convulsing creatures, watching them explode into brilliant showers of light. Comically, he yelled, "You shall not pass," as he continued his attacks. Noticing his staff of lightning was started to deplete faster than anticipated, he surveyed the remaining wolves and saw his staff was now at half charge. He thought to himself, this was mostly due to his consistent strategy with these oversized wolves. He would hit them with powerful lightning attacks and then hack or stab them with his sword, over and over again. He noticed the quest marker reducing until he hit 10 dire wolf pelts left. His staff, now fully depleted, was placed back into his inventory, as he was not close or near to a recharging location. Kyle pulled out 2 potions of splash melting. These green potion flasks were deadly when they exploded. He saw 4 wolves coming at him, and he threw the potions directly in their faces. The glass shattered, and the dire wolves convulsed in agony, until 2 exploded into light while melting into nothingness. The other 2 were severely injured, but still ready to fight. The other 2 wolves came at him, and he followed Fireball, in repeated motions blasting them as they jumped at him. They exploded into wonder balls of fire and died. The first 4 wolves were a cover for another pack, as 3 more lunged from behind, but were met with his blade. They snarled at him as their mouths bite down on his sword. He positioned them as they bit down on his sword. He hit them with fire, and they exploded into flames as they depixelated from Kyle's fiery blasts. 3 more were waiting to attack him. He lifted them up with an air attack, and while they hung awkwardly, whining and snarling, he stabbed at them until they also exploded in light. Kyle, known to his friends as Lit, stood amidst the dense forest, his senses on high alert. The air was thick with tension as a large pack of dire wolves encircled him, their eyes glowing a menacing yellow in the dim light. Their low growls reverberated through the trees, a chilling symphony of impending danger. But Kyle was no stranger to such threats. He had faced countless challenges in this virtual world and emerged victorious. With a steady hand, he retrieved a vial of bright red liquid from his inventory. The potion was a rare concoction known as Dragon's Breath, a powerful elixir that imbued weapons with the essence of fire. As he poured it over his sword, the blade ignited, flames dancing along its edge with an intense heat that promised destruction to any foe that dared approach. "I've got this," Kyle thought, his confidence unwavering, as the dire wolves charged. The first wolf lunged at him, jaws wide open, only to be met with the searing bite of burning steel. The impact was immediate and devastating. The creature exploded in a burst of light, its form disintegrating into pixels. Another wolf managed to clamp its jaws around Kyle's arm, its teeth sinking into his flesh with a painful grip. Kyle gritted his teeth against the pain. With a swift motion, he drove his flaming sword into the creature's skull, watching as it, too, erupted into a brilliant flash. He felt the relief of the mouth no longer clamped on his arm, and looking down he bore red streaks marking where the wolf mouth previously had him. The remaining wolves were relentless, their ferocity undiminished by the loss of their packmates. 2 more leapt at him, but Kyle was ready. Channeling his affinity for air magic, he summoned a powerful gust of wind, lifting the wolves high into the sky. They disappeared from view, only to plummet back to the earth moments later. One wolf's fall ended in a gruesome collision with another, while the other met its demise upon impact with the ground. With the pack's numbers dwindling, Kyle moved with precision and purpose. His sword, still ablaze with fire, became an extension of his will as he dispatched the remaining wolves. Each strike was a testament to his skill and determination, the blade cutting through the air with deadly grace. As the last wolf fell, Kyle took a moment to catch his breath, the adrenaline of battle still coursing through his veins. He quickly gathered the pelts, storing them in his inventory with practiced efficiency. A notification appeared before him, confirming the completion of his mission and instructing him to report back to the guardmaster before 7:00 a.m. As Kyle, known to his friends and allies as Lit, stood amidst the forest, he felt the weight of countless yellow eyes upon him. The dire wolves, with their menacing gaze, seemed to multiply as they emerged from the shadows. Lit let out a simple "oh," a mix of surprise and amusement at the sheer number of beasts surrounding him. But he had come prepared. In his inventory, he had a teleportation crystal set to the front of the city of New Beginnings, a fail-safe for situations just like this. As the wolves began their charge, he activated the crystal, a sly smile playing on his lips as he imagined their confusion when they leaped at empty air. The world around him blurred for a moment, and then he was standing at the gates of the city of New Beginnings. The bustling city was a stark contrast to the foreboding forest he had just left behind. As he made his way back to the guard post, the tension of the hunt slowly ebbed away, replaced by a sense of calm and accomplishment. The guard post was a sturdy structure, built from stone and wood, standing as a sentinel at the city's edge. Banners fluttered in the breeze, emblazoned with the emblem of the city guard, a phoenix rising from the ashes, symbolizing hope and renewal. Guards in gleaming armor patrolled the area, their eyes vigilant and their demeanor disciplined. Lit approached the guardmaster, a seasoned veteran named Commander Thorn, whose presence commanded respect. Thorn was a tall, imposing figure with a sharp gaze that seemed to pierce through any facade. His armor bore the marks of countless battles, each scar a testament to his experience and leadership. "Well done, Mage," Commander Thorn said, his voice resonant with authority as Lit presented the dire wolf pelts. There was a hint of admiration in his eyes as he handed Lit a pouch containing 250 gold coins. "You've proven yourself a valuable ally. From this day forward, you shall be known as a friend of the Guard." A new notification appeared. Friend of the Guard achievement appeared. You will no longer be looked at with suspicion by city guards, but instead will be viewed as an equal. You can now interact with guards and receive missions. Continue on the path and you will be given the optional quest, One of Us. Kyle felt a swell of pride at the recognition, the title a badge of honor that signified his growing bond with the city's protectors. With it came a deeper connection to the community he served, a sense of belonging that transcended the virtual world. Commander Thorn continued, his tone shifting to one of camaraderie. "We have a new mission for you, one that will further solidify your loyalty with the guards. There's been unrest in the Eastern District, and we need someone with your skills to investigate." Lit nodded eagerly, his mind already racing with possibilities. The prospect of a new challenge was invigorating, a chance to test his abilities and forge new alliances. "I'm ready," he replied, determination in his voice. As he left the guard post, Lit felt a renewed sense of purpose. The morning's adventure had tested his skills and courage, but it had also reinforced his commitment to the world he inhabited. With each quest, he grew stronger, forging bonds and creating a legacy that would endure long after the virtual sun had set. As he left the guard post, Kyle felt a renewed sense of purpose. The morning's adventure had tested his skills and courage, but it had also reinforced his commitment to the world he inhabited. With each quest, he grew stronger, forging bonds and creating a legacy that would endure long after the virtual sun had set. The thought of Null the Destroyer and his legendary exploits lingered in Kyle's mind, inspiring him to approach his own missions with determination and courage. Null's legacy was a reminder of the impact one player could have, not just on the game world, but on the hearts and minds of those who shared in the adventure. As Kyle embarked on his quests, he carried with him the spirit of camaraderie and bravery that Null embodied. With a renewed sense of purpose, Kyle logged out of the game, ready to meet his day, and hopefully Andrew could pick him up to take him to school. Stay tuned for the next episode, The Way of the Adventures Guild.